everybody. Welcome back to another Rory pop-up. Yes, I am popping up. I am popping in because we got something to talk about. We have something to chit-chat about. We have something not so much to kiki about and be messy about, but I probably will end up being messy. Y'all know how y'all know how I am. Well, this particular pop up is about an article that popped up in the BBC, and it was like the first of this month, and it was just so much going on that I did not have the opportunity to address it like I wanted to. And so, since things are kind of slow today, and we are looking forward to Megan's speech tomorrow and her podcast dropped today, and let me tell you, it was so good. It's incredibly good. And if you haven't went and listened to it, please do so. Please do so and run those numbers up. And because of that, I said, you know what? I am going to reach back and go and look at some of the things that I did not have the opportunity to cover because there was just so much stuff happening. And now that it's kind of quieted down, and y'all know I'm not going to get involved in that mess that's going on with some of the sheep's and wool clothing, if you know what I mean, who kind of pretended like they were squatties or they were supporters of Harry and Meghan or they were supporters of, media literacy, that type thing. I'm not going to get into that because it all stems from another story that I said that I was not going to put more wood on that fire. No more logs from me. I'm moving on. So I wanted to go back, reach back, and get this article so I could drag the BBC. Yes, the BBC is out here looking like those rags that it calls colleagues over there across the pond. And the BBC is starting to get more and more, looking more and more like the rags. And it came out with this story, and let me tell you, it did not get a welcome reception because people go to the BBC for news. They go to the BBC for facts. They go to the BBC because it's supposed to be a legitimate news organization that they can depend on to get straightforward news. Not something, not an organization that's going to delve into tittle tattle and character assassination and be a part of the smear campaign. But we all know that the BBC kind of showed us their underskirt, if you know what I mean, with that bench, that AI bench video that they produced for Kitty Cat. And we have been giving them the side eye ever since that because, number one, you could clearly see that the person that was on that bench was not a real person. They were glitching. And let's not even talk about the size of the slits in the bench didn't match. And nothing behind her ever moved. And her ring would disappear and come back. And it, to me, it didn't even look like her. It looked like like they was trying to portray her as someone that was on death's door. Because when we got a load of her the next time, in live and flesh and blood, she looked at nothing like what they presented to us on that bench. BBC was involved in that nonsense. And then when other news organizations went to court, the BBC refused to hand over the original because I don't believe that the original will show that a real Kate actually did that particular video. That was not Kate. That's why squatties have always side-eyed that video and called her AI bench Kate because we never believed that that was a real Kate. And like I said, if you compare that Kate that was sitting on the bench to the Kate that showed up for Trooping of the Colors, totally different Kates. Totally. And so is the farm market Kate. And let's not forget Kate in the Audi. I mean, it was so many Kates showing up, we didn't know what to do. Our heads continued to spin. But I digress. BBC was involved in that nonsense. So I don't know if we should be surprised, but it still has some measure of respectability when it comes to being a news organization. And now they are delving into this. And that's the reason why I am calling them to the front. I am calling them to task. Why would you participate in something like this? And let me tell you, I'm not the only one because the squatties just swarmed. When I tell you they swarmed that comment section, they did. And they let them know, listen, you need to do better. Is this who you are right now? Are you participating in the smear campaign as well? Is that who you are? Do we need to start treating you like a rag like we do the other ones? And I kind of say yes, because to me, they lost all credibility with that AI on the bench, Kate, and then would not allow anybody to verify that that video was an original video and that was Kate, because y'all remember at the time, people was really questioning it, especially on TikTok. They were breaking it down frame by frame. And they found rings disappearing, a mouth glitching, nothing moving in the background, like I was saying. A whole lot of sus things were happening with that video. But yet and still, BBC went along with that nonsense. So, far as I'm concerned, it has no credibility. And this particular article, to me, only cements my belief and my feelings towards the BBC. All right, y'all, I'm going to put it up. And this is the article I am talking about. The name of the article is Meghan Divisiveness May Well Work to Her Advantage. Yes, calling Meghan divisive. Meghan, divisive. Minding her business in Montecito, 5,000 miles away. How is she divisive? I tell you who is divisive. And it is every one of those so-called news organizations, those tabloids, those rags, and I am including the BBC and the Telegraph in that as well. They're the divisive ones because they create all of the chaos around Meghan. Meghan lives a very, very wholesome, down to earth life. Although very soft, but still very uneventful life. She's a mother. She's raising her children. She does a lot of things with her home. She's running a business. She's working. You can put that description on just about every woman in America. Now, like I said, every woman in America is not as well off as Meghan, but every woman in America just about is doing the same thing, raising children, pursuing their career, doing stuff at home, doing things with kids. These are things that we do. But yet and still, Meghan is considered divisive because of the chaos that they create around her, the lies, the smears, the delusion that they create about this one woman. Why? Because she married their favorite prince, and they have yet to get over it. So, as for this article, like I said, Meghan divisiveness may well work in her advantage. Did I read that? Absolutely not. I didn't read it. Why? I have said this in prior videos, and pop-ups and reads that it is getting harder and harder for me to read these articles because they are filled with such nonsense. Now, I'll read a Tom Sykes article or something like that, but I have a certain expectation for him. I know he gonna come out of the box with some nonsense, but you kind of expect a little better for the BBC. That's why it kind of, turns my stomach to absolutely participate and read a story like this one. So basically, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about what the squatties' response to this nonsense, this nonsensical article. And that's what it is, nonsensical. Because how can you be divisive when you live your life just like everybody else? If Megan is divisive, I'm divisive. If Megan is divisive, the majority of the women in America are divisive. I'm sure the majority of women in the UK would be considered divisive. If that's the standard and if that's the measuring stick you want to use, yes, pretty much every woman in the US and the UK would be considered divisive. But they don't see that. They do not see their part in it. Well, I'm going to rewind that. I think they clearly know what their part in it is. They just don't want us to see what their part in it is. They want to convince us that don't believe your lying eyes. We don't have anything to do with the chaos around this one woman. No, it's not us. It's her. She's the problem. We're not the problem. And clearly, with anybody with two eyes and two ears knows exactly where the problem lies. And it lies with that media over there, those flying monkeys over there. That's where it lies. They swarm around her and then try to blame her for them swarming, for their chaos. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. I'm going to go up on here, and this is what this particular squatty said. You have the laziest Princess of Wales, Kate, who serves no purpose to taxpayer who funds her lifestyle. Why don't you focus on her? Where's the lie? We all know she wants you to focus on her. She is practically doing tricks every time she comes out to get you to focus on her to the point where it looked like she has just gotten tired. Because at the end of the day, if Megan go out to get brunch, she overshadows them. Look how the little baby ducks, the mom and the little mama duck and the baby ducks overshadowed them all for Easter. Megan just stepped out of the woods watching the ducks cross her and Harry's road. And I'm sure Harry was filming that. I think people forget that Harry is a bird watcher. And I'm thinking Harry had told Megan about the mama duck and her ducklings, and he was filming that. Yes, but yes, they overshadowed the whole lot of them. That particular video, I think right now is well over 5 million views. They can't do nothing with Megan, but yet and still they want to say she's divisive. What is divisive about watching ducklings, a mother duck and her ducklings go across the road? But do you think they found something divisive in it? Absolutely they did. Talking about conspiracy theories. Yes, ridiculous. And like this particular squatter said, has the laziest Princess of Wales it is on this planet. But yet and still, you can do nothing but focus on someone who lives 5,000 miles away. I always emphasize how far away Megan lives because it really shows how crazy and fevered minded these people are to continue to pursue a woman who doesn't even live in your continent. You're crazy. And it goes on to say, you're waiting for her to walk to church on Easter Day so you can Photoshop the bags off her eyes and present her as God's gift to the Bleebs. Now, we all know this came before we found out that they weren't going to do the Easter walk. But we all know that this particular squatter is telling the truth because that is exactly what would have happened. This woman, all she has to do is walk in a straight line and not fall down. And they prop her up and pretend like she is the best thing since what? Milk? Ice cold milk? Yes. And Megan somehow cannot do anything right. But yet and still, she keeps on putting the points on the board. She keeps on being successful in spite of their hate campaign against her. Can you imagine how successful Megan would be without them bothering her? She would be a billionaire by now. I'm just saying. But she's determined to get where she's going no matter what. And I think that is the big fear across the pond. Is Megan becoming a billionaire? Megan showing up on the Forbes billionaire list. And I tell y'all, I'm going to tell you straight, I cannot wait. The wailing, the crying, the rolling around, the absolute agony that these people are going to experience is just going to be delicious. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this one up. And this particular squatty said this. This is because she is not being the divisive one. The media is depicting her in a far different way than they ever did Kate Middleton. Where is the lie? Where is the lie? Now, did Kate get some bad press prior to Megan? Yes, she did. But Megan gets hateful press. She gets the gutter press. She gets all the disrespect. That kind of press. And it's getting worse and worse and worse because they're getting more and more desperate, more and more bitter because they haven't been able to destroy her. She keeps going like the Energizer Bunny. She keeps going, and it really, really gets under their skin that this entity, this media over there, has always had the power of life and death in the pages of their rags. But that hasn't worked this time. They haven't been able to destroy her like they have done many and many and many that came before her. And they keep getting more and more desperate, more and more disrespectful. So, Kate Middleton, yes, did she get some bad press? She did. But compared to Megan, no, she did. And this is a ongoing pursuit, an ongoing assault on a woman. We're into our 9th year now. So, no, Kate has not went through what Megan has gone through. And they have used Kate in a way to attack Megan. And they attack Megan on Kate's behalf. And let's not get it twisted. They have attacked Megan. Kate has. You think she hadn't planted stories out there? You think she hadn't done everything she could to try to bring Megan down? Because it's never dawned on her to level up, to improve herself, to be competitive and maybe outpace Megan. No, that had never dawned on her. What has dawned on her is to try to tear Megan down. So she is the only one that they have left. That she can go on being a mediocre, subpar human being that she's always been her whole life. Because let's not get it twisted. She is not the smartest one out of her family. We all know the smart one is Pippa. Because that brother of hers and Kate, the light bulb, it flashes. but it never stays on. I'm just saying. But let's go on. It says, if she does nothing and stays out of this nonsense while she is still being attacked for not doing anything, then she will win. She's going to win. She's going to win because she is winning. And that's why they're so mad. And that's why their attacks are coming and coming and coming. But it's just not hidden the way it used to. I mean, it just don't hit the same as it used to. Why? Because people are seeing through it. More and more people saying that this one woman can't be this evil, this bad, this inept, did all the things that the British media try to portray her to be. And then Meghan pops out, and there she is, all in her glory, being the excellent human being that she is. Excellent speaker, intelligent, great mother, entrepreneur, just innovative, just always coming up with something new, always leveling up, always winning. And we're like, wait a minute, you said she's this way, but she looks a whole lot different because we see her. You're telling us not to believe our eyes, and we see that this is not the woman that you're portraying her to be. Yes, and that is the reason why it's just not landing anymore. That Instagram page that Megan decided to do the first of the year, that right there was a master stroke. And I am predicting at this time a death nail in this whole smear campaign because they will never work. It would never work as long as Megan popping out watching a mother duck and the little duckies go across the road, and you want to paint that person as a monster? Stop it. People are not going to believe that. But yet and still, here they continue on. They do. But I think they know. And I have said this really, I have really called it back when they went to Colombia. I said right then and there, we had won. We can just claim it. Little did I know that a Instagram page was going to come along and put the death nail in it, because that's exactly what has happened. They write all their nonsense and betray her to be all this. I've seen where Tina Brown, she's back. She had written something nasty about Meghan again, saying, so I don't even know what it is really, because it's nonsense. And she mad. She mad because the royal family that she has always pretended to be so close to, so adjacent to, is now toxic. Nobody don't want to hear about that you're close to Charles's horse. Nobody want to care. Nobody cares about that anymore. She cannot talk at her little hoity-toity parties and name drop any of those left behinds over there, and nobody's going to be impressed by it. And she still is hoping against hope that Harry will drop his wife, drop his children, and run back over there and save that institution so she can be proud of it again, and she can be at her little tea parties name dropping. I know Prince Harry. I know him. Yes, this is what she wants. But it's not going to happen, Tina Brown. And you can just absolutely talk your talk all you want to. You can. Because at the end of the day, it just don't hit the way it used to. And I just love that video. I do. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this one up. And this particular squatty said this: created by the BBC and other hack media in order to punish a woman who chose to walk away from an abusive, racist cult of the monarchy. Where's the lie? They wanted her to suffer in silence. Take your abuse and keep your mouth shut. That's what they wanted. And that's the reason why they so mad, because they have never ran up against anybody who has done different, except Diana. And we saw what happened to her. Yes, they can't stand that. You should take my abuse and keep your mouth shut. These are abusers. They typically behave the same way. Abusers never want you to air them out. And that was Megan's biggest sin. She aired them out. She called them out. She absolutely said out loud what these people did to her. And she hadn't even scratched the surface. She has absolutely not even said one of them's name or acknowledged anybody over there in about 3 years. But yet and still, they still on the BS when it comes to her because she continues to be successful and she continues to absolutely defy gravity when it comes to that family over there. When you can get over 5 million views for a mother duck and her ducklings, yes, this is what's going on. And that's why they're so mad. And this goes on to say taxpayer funded BBC is to report balanced news, not idle gossip. Where's the lie? But we all know that family corrupts everything. Everything that it is involved in, corruption is involved also. So the BBC is corrupt. You should never expect anything any different. I know I never will. I absolutely will not. After AI bench Kate, you can believe him and trust him if you choose to. But that right there means that they are corrupted. I'm just saying. And it goes on to say, where is your report on King Charles and Prince Andrew's link with the Chinese spy? Exactly. Where that at? Quiet. And we all saw the power of that family over that media over there when we witnessed the blackout of the Invictus Games. Yes, they faded to black because of that family over there. But yet and still, they want us to believe and have any kind of reverence for the BBC. No, they're all in the bag for that family over there. And it's sad. It is sad to see. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this one up. And it's a little long, but boy, is it on point. This particular squatter just put it together so well and just made a masterpiece. And I'm going to put it up. And it says, Meghan is the only royal woman in history who was told that there wasn't enough money to feed her or clothe her. Where is the lie? Where is it? Because Harry put it in spare that that's what Charles, the turd, said. But yet and still, we're supposed to believe that this is a good man. This is not a good man. He's not a good father. He's not a good grandfather. He's not a good monarch. He is not a good human. I'm just saying. And it says the only one cast out, not by formal exile, but by silence and cold shoulders and lies and planted stories. Yes. And absolutely attacks on her husband. Yeah. Who would want to stay knowing that your husband brother could come over at any time and jump on him? Yes, jump on him and then beg him to hit him back. This is who you are dealing with. Who would want to live in that kind of situation? But yet and still, they expected Meghan to. Absolutely accept this abuse. Accept being fed to the wolves and keep your mouth shut. That's what they're not mad about anything that they did. They are mad because they got exposed. They got exposed. And what they did, now everybody knows. That's it. They don't regret what they did. And I hope Harry and Meghan never get that twisted. Because that family does not regret anything that it has done to them. No, they regret that they opened their mouths and told people what they had done to them. Yes, they wanted them to be silent. Let me kick you in the head. Don't say nothing about it. Let me knock you in your head. Don't say nothing about it. Yes, and I don't mean that literally. I mean it figuratively, meaning that they continue to do things to hurt them. They continue to try to play it. Just every morning, Piers Morgan used to get on the television and find some way to work it around to absolutely be disrespectful and bully Megan. And she was walking around with little Archie in her stomach. And who you think just boasted him on? And who do you think never opened their mouth to try to protect her? Because we all know how that family works. We all know when you're unprotected by that family, when they know that they can go in and say any nasty, any just whatever, bully you nonstop and nothing is said, and really it's encouraged by the palaces, especially Kensington Palace. Come on, that's what you're going to get. And that's what they wanted. They wanted her to be abused to the point where she left Harry. And Harry left with her, packed everything up and left. And they haven't been the same since. They haven't. I'm just saying. But this goes on to say the only one cast out, not by formal exile, but by silence and cold shoulders. When she retreated to find peace beyond British shores, they still held on tight. Where's the lie? They don't pay her, they don't welcome her, but yet they forbade her from making a living. Yes. I saw, who was it saying? I can't remember who it was. Who was it saying something about Elizabeth? Well, I think it was a troll. I'm sorry, it wasn't anybody important. I was on these internet streets and it was a troll. And they said, I'm so glad that the queen is dead. She would never be able to stand seeing Megan peddling. I think he said hawking. I think he said hawking jam. And I went in there and said, are you kidding me? The queen hawked jam. The problem with him was that he's jealous that he's not a woman, and he's mad because if he was, Harry still would not pick him. Yes, because he is a ugly thing to see. White hair, and his hairline starts to about right there, and he's still holding on to it. Yes, but yet and still, he got all this smoke for Megan. It's always the toe down ones. It's always the ugly ones. I'm telling you, the queen sold alcohol. You know, it was approved and all different kinds of stuff. Charles sells all kinds of stuff, but Megan's jam is the disgrace. Stop it! You're embarrassing yourself. I'm just saying. But let's go on. It said she wasn't given a seat at the table, so she built her own. But even as she laid the foundation, there is a relentless campaign daily, unyielding, spread across front pages, whispering on talk shows, amplified by paid trolls online. Where is the lie? Where is the lie? Is no way you can convince me that these trolls are not being paid. And they're always accusing us of being paid because they're being paid. They are absolutely being paid. And I think the way they're being paid is through views with all of these bots running those numbers up. You cannot convince me otherwise. Because who in the world would be interested in little tooth, big tooth, and what she has to say? But yet and still they want to convince us that they're getting those kind of views. Stop it. Stop. Stop. We don't believe that. That's coming straight out of Kensington Palace so they can amplify the hate. Ain't nobody stupid over here. We see you. We see exactly what you're doing. I'm just saying. Their only goal is to unscrew the legs of the table she's building for her family to eat from. Where's the lie? They don't want her to succeed. They don't. And they have done everything they know to try to sabotage her succeeding. And that's why they keep getting mad. They get more frustrated. They get meaner because they haven't been able to stop her. And I just love that for them. I do. She's the only royal woman in living memory to be targeted like this, to have TV presenters openly state that she should disappear. Where's the lie? Piers Morgan said that. And what was said, what kind of statement, what kind of pushback came from the palaces, from the royal family, from Charles, who is the head of the family? Nothing. Silence. Crickets. But yet and still, Harry and Meghan are the bad ones. Yes. Mm-hmm. They are so mad. They feel the same about Meghan that they felt about Diana. They feel the same about Harry that they felt about Diana. And then it goes on to say, and yet she doesn't. She endures. She builds. We often underestimate the quiet, burning strength of Meghan. But what she carries is not futility. It's effing fire, and it terrifies them. Where's the lie? It does. Every time Meghan opens her mouth, they're terrified because it shows them up to be the mediocres that they are. I mean, let's be for real. You remember when Charles and his horse was over there in Australia and he was giving those speeches? He's not the best one. He wasn't giving a speech. He fumbling with all them papers and stuff. Yeah, with them big fingers. He couldn't hardly get them. He couldn't hardly get his paper straight. I don't know if it was a. He said that the papers were sticking together, but it maybe it was them big fingers could not turn them pages like they should. I don't know. Me being messy, but yes, they are terrified of her. I'm just saying. So this whole segment started out about the BBC, but it's going to end up that family is the reason why the BBC is so corrupt. Everything that family touches, it corrupts it. And now this great news organization is officially corrupted. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all a little later. Bye.